On today's episode of the DNVR Broncos Podcast, we're talking about the Broncos road trip. They're spending the week in West Virginia because they didn't come back home after their game in Tampa on Sunday. After that, we're going to talk about our stock report. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down after the first 3 weeks of the season. Join us in 30 seconds. Welcome into the DNVR Broncos Podcast presented by Bet365. You can download the Bet36 app and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer, find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We are live in the Toyota Lounge, which is driven by our Front Range Toyota stores because it's the official vehicle of DNVR. I don't know how Zach remembers to say all that stuff every single day.
Yeah, he's a special person, man. He's able to ramble all that off time and time again. Has a great memory.
He does.
So I think that's really what helps him to be, you know what I'm saying, on point.
He's like a robot, sort of.
Or elephant.
You plug it. Or an elephant.
They say elephants
like a big
have...
robot elephant.
Okay.
Yeah. Zach, as you guys might notice, is not here today. He is somewhere between
on
Denver and West
again.
Virginia. Yeah. No, wait, that's a different song. There's that West Virginia song.
West Virginia.
That's the one, yeah.
Mountain Mama.
That's the
I know
one.
that song and you don't know that song? Come
what's
on
wrong
now.
with that?
I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah,
if anybody's
yeah.
going to know a song about West Virginia,
Well-
it's probably not. You know what I'm saying?
Only one of us has been to West Virginia.
You.
No, you.
When did I go to West Virginia?
2014
For what?
training camp.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah. I've never been to West
Yeah.
Virginia. So
Well,
soon-
I guess I just called the Greenbriar. I don't even call
Oh.
it West Virginia. But
Yeah.
it was technically West Virginia. Yes.
Yeah, it was technically West Virginia. The reason that came up is because that's where the Broncos are. Like I said in the cold open, the Broncos decided to stay on the East Coast for the entire week. And this is something that Sean Payton really wanted to do.
Yeah.
He asked the league if they would put 2 of their East Coast games back to back so that he could stay out there with the team. You get to avoid the time change, all that sort of stuff. Big picture, just do you think it's valuable to stay on the East Coast when you have back-to-back games?
Yeah, I think it's great just for like team bonding.
Yeah.
And especially after that win, I think it's great to get the guys together and see what we can do to continue this momentum. Get the guys kind of out of their comfort zone. There's nobody there but kind of the team. So you're kind of forced to be around your teammates to hang out and have a good time. And then there's really nice facilities too. So they're definitely well taken care of.
They will be very well taken care of. It seemed like everybody was really excited this week. I think Riley Moss in particular was excited because he brought up that most of the guys on the team have kids and families and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So after a home game, they're all doing things with their family. After road games, obviously you're getting on the plane and flying back. But they had Sunday night to spend in Tampa just
Yeah.
as a team before they head to West Virginia. Sounds like nothing went horribly wrong, which is always kind of a little concern, but hey, you got what is it, 60, 70 guys out there?
Yeah.
Nobody got into trouble and we're safe.
Don't be the guy. That's what they say. No, everybody was good, man. I think that they had a lot of fun out there, but it was like controlled chaos. They didn't get too crazy. But no, I think they'll have a good time in West Virginia. Hopefully they stay locked in and mentally prepared because this Jets team is no slouch, and it's important to come like firing on all cylinders because after you've shown what you can do, I know Baker Mayfield said they didn't, they kind of slept on the Broncos. They didn't come out firing because they thought they could win the game easily. You don't have the element of surprise anymore. So you better believe the Jets will be ready. They'll be looking at this latest game like, okay, we got a pretty good team here we got to face. So they'll come with it.
Yeah, I'm curious how the vibe changes this week after a win. Because, if you lose that game, you're 0-3.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're very desperate at that point. You need to get a win against the Jets. Otherwise, the season's kind of over. But in some ways, the season would already be over at that point. So the vibes would just be so low. It would be easy just to maybe lose a little bit of focus. But it seems like after a win like the one they had on Sunday, you shouldn't have to worry too much about the distractions that come with being out of state for the next week.
Yeah, after a win like that, I think it resets your mindset and it allows you to feel like anything is possible.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like the season restarts because it's so early on and like we just finally hit our groove. That's the kind of football we can play, and everything resets to like now you're 1-2. The rest of your season's ahead of you. The playoffs are still a hope. Every goal that they've set as a team, besides starting fast, is still available to them. So it really resets your mindset. Victory Monday is a real thing, man. The vibes are good.
And so then after Victory Monday, you have Tuesday, which is the off day, which is the day that they all get to enjoy this resort, which they call it America's Resort. It's been around since 1778 is when it opened, and they've like changed the building a little bit. They've torn it down, rebuilt it back up, changed the name a couple times. It's been the Greenbriar for more than 100 years now, though, and I mean it's a really nice resort. Like the whole thing is massive. The history there is pretty crazy. Like that's where Robert E. Lee went to write that the North and the South should reunite under one government after his South lost the war. Like you have that there. You have like they interned all the diplomats from Germany and Japan at this resort during World War II. During the Cold War, this is where they built the bunker that all of Congress would go to if there was a nuclear holocaust. They just send all of them out there and they just live 100 feet underground under the resort. So it's like a crazy place. They've hosted massive golf tournaments. It's obviously really expensive, and you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there. It's nice. It's old money. I don't know. I don't know if old money is my style. I like nice and clean and I guess new money and modern.
Well, because you look at like the rooms and they're like wallpaper. It's like grandma house, like the flowers on the
When did you say it was built?
I think this version was 1913.
Oh yeah, so like the richest person in 1913, that's how they would have designed their house for sure.
Exactly.
So it's nice, man. But they do have a lot of activities. I think there's like a bowling alley.
Yep.
You can of course play golf if you wanted to. But once you leave the resort, man, there's nothing there. I mean, there's like a strip of like Pizza Huts and Arby's, but that's about it. Yeah.
No, it really is in the middle of nowhere because it's just out in the mountains, which is like it's the appeal of it. That's why a whole bunch of rich people go there. I think it's like 26 of the 45 presidents, 45 presidents have stayed there at some point.
Yeah.
Like it's
like the
pretty
Bohemian
ridiculous.
Grove.
It's like what?
We'll keep going.
Okay. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're gonna get into some of those activities. But again, team bonding. This seems like a close team, and they've said over and over again. I think it was Jarrett Stidham who said like I've been on a lot of different teams, and there's never been one that's kind of like this. And I don't know why that is. I think there's a bunch of young guys. For example, Russell Wilson comes in. He's not quite as much of a bonder, a making friends type guy because he's so established.
Yeah.
Like he's a celebrity. He has his own thing. Like these are, for the most part, guys who've come in here just looking for a chance to prove themselves. And maybe that's where that all comes from.
Yeah, I think you have guys that are at similar points in their life. Like nobody's super old with a lot of kids. I think once you get to that age, you kind of you're with a team, but you also do your own thing because you got a wife and kids. All these guys, offense and defense are all pretty young, and they go out a little bit more frequently than other teams, and they just bond more. And we bonded, but when you don't have a guy like Von Miller on the team that tells everybody to come over to the crib, that kind of leaves quickly. So it's important to get together and bond as a team. I think you play better as a unit.
Did you watch the games last night?
Which ones?
The Monday Night Football games?
Yes.
Vaughn is going crazy. 3 sacks in 3 games.
Yeah. He's definitely feeling like vintage Vaughn. I think he loves his role. I mean, you get to come in on specialty downs and just pass rush, get after the quarterback. And I think it fits him like really well for the place he's at right now.
Totally. That's been fun to watch. Bills look awesome, but also Jayden McDaniels looks insane. Yeah. Here's a fun stat. So in their careers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and maybe that's the whole... Oh, and Mahomes. How many times do you think all of them combined have had a game where their offense scored every single time they touched the ball?
All of them combined? Every single time?
Combined.
That's hard. Every single time is hard. Say 5 times.
Only 2.
Oh, wow.
You know how many times
Jayden
Daniels has done that?
Twice.
Back-to-back weeks.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He looks like a monster.
Yeah, he's definitely rolling, man. He feels like probably the best quarterback in the draft right now. I mean, it's very early on. I mean, we can't really make decisions just yet, but I mean, he looks like he has it. Him and Terry McLaurin are getting on the same page, which they weren't after week 1.
Yep.
They have a good amount of weapons there, so I think he's just finding his place within that organization, and he's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, Terry, after his touchdown, the deep one where, like, there's pressure and Jayden just drops it in a bucket, like moonshot type ball.
Yep.
He catches it perfectly. He's on the sideline. He's just screaming. Like, he is so fired up because that poor guy has never had a quarterback.
Yep.
And, like, he's played like 6-7 years now, and he finally gets that guy. It just makes me wonder. Hopefully, Bo Nix is that guy, but it'd be so fun to see Court get a chance to have a quarterback like that.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right, we got a game to play. We're going to talk about some of these activities these guys might be doing today. But real quick, we want to give a shout out to some of our friends, including our friends at Toyota. We love our Toyotas. That's why we're here in the Toyota Lounge. They make awesome cars. And, you know, where was I? I was up in Montana, and somebody, I can't remember what kind of car they were talking about. But it was like, that's a good-looking, I don't know, insert whatever brand. And my friend, his girlfriend said, or no, wife now. No, fiance now. Sorry, I'm not good at that. I hate when those change. It's so tough to remember. I'm in a tough spot remembering this story anyway, because it was like a month ago. Made a wrong decision, but she said, yeah, but she said, no, we don't say that because this is a Toyota household. And I was like, whoa, that's like, the true story, like deeply impassioned Toyota fan. I've got another friend who's, I think she was going to go out to one of our local Toyotas. It is one of these. I can't remember which one in particular. Oh, it was Stevenson Toyota East to go buy a Toyota. But that was like a month ago, and I haven't asked her if she actually did it.
I feel like everything in your life happened a month ago.
Yeah, well, the thing was, and then all of a sudden, I didn't have a single Toyota ad. Like you and Zach had the Toyota ads for forever, and so these have been backed up. But Toyotas are awesome, whether it's a Tacoma, the Land Cruiser, 17 different models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the 4Runner, 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. The Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck is one of them. And if you want to check them out, you can visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. The official automotive partner of the NFL, official vehicle of DNVR.
And shout out to our friends over at Empire Today. You can head to empiretoday.com/DNVR to pick out your new floors. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. So they want to put together the right products based on what you feel like will be best in your home. And the best way to see what you are picking out is with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy, just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors look in your room. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday. Wow. Flooring is all Empire does. We live and breathe flooring, so you can be confident you're getting honest, upfront advice. I think that's so important when you come to matters of the home. This is something you're going to be using every day. It has to be good quality. It has to be durable. It has to last a long time. So it's very important to get the best out there. And right now, if you schedule a free in-home estimate, all listeners can receive $350 off when they use promo code DNVR. Remember, restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
All right, back into the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. We've got a game to play.
Let's play it.
Like I said, this resort is kind of it's secluded.
It's very.
And so you need to give your guests a lot of things to do. Yeah. And they have a bunch of different really weird things to do. So the game is going to be this. We are going to look through some of the activities and decide which Broncos player is most likely to have signed up for that activity.
Yep. You know, when we talk about this place, I wonder I always think like when something is so secluded, but so highly touted, I guess you could say, it feels like everybody who lives in the town lives there to work at the Greenbriar.
I would imagine.
Like,
yeah.
where do they find all these people to get them and recruit them to come out to the middle of nowhere in West Virginia for this prime resort? And do they get to take advantage of all the activities? Because other than that, like, there's not much to do in the town.
I mean, I would imagine that the activities are just so expensive.
Yeah, but I guess if I work every day, I don't want to work somewhere every day and then not be able to use the facilities.
That's
like
true.
Working here every day and then I can't go down to the bar.
Well,
like that's crazy.
That would be crazy. I also feel like looking at some of these, like the dress code is a little bit strange. For guests, you have to like have a sport coat to be able to go eat at any of the restaurants or anything like that. But even the staff, like you look at the picture they took of the guy who leads like the fitness class. And he's like wearing a polo tucked into like his like athletic shorts. And he's like, this is so, that's weird rich people culture, you know? Like it's just very strange in a lot of ways. But I feel like the seclusion is like the appeal of it. I saw one night there was like, it was like 2010. Jennifer Gardner was there. Shaq was there. Charles Barkley was there. And there were like 3 other just like famous people who all just like happened to be there at the same time because it's so secluded. But yeah, a lot of activities. Kale, what's our first activity we've got here?
All right, we got paintball.
Okay, paintball. Paintball's an easy one. Everybody likes paintball.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm supposed to pick. Sorry, we're
Who's
supposed
most
to pick
likely to be?
Who's most likely to
Yeah.
we find? I guess the guy that came to my head first is Quinn.
Wow.
I feel like Quinn would definitely be out there playing paintball. He's a huge target, but I feel like he would find a way, you know what I'm saying, to get behind.
He does.
I'll bet you he's kind of a
cheer, too.
psychopath on that paintball field. Like, yeah, like just
I
mowing
know-
people down.
2 fingers.
I know Damari is big on Call of Duty.
Okay.
He's actually helped me a lot with my personal Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those skills translate.
And yeah, I don't know if that means that you like to shoot in real life either.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of anybody. Like, I know Riley's like a fisher, but he doesn't hunt much.
Uh-huh.
Quinn's probably a good pick. I can get behind Quinn.
All right,
I can
let's
get
do
behind
it.
Quinn. What's our next one here, Kale?
Oh, shoot.
Oh no.
I should have.
We might need to change Quinn
We
now.
can't use him twice.
I feel like you can only
He's
use him
pretty
once.
active, you know what I'm saying? But he
He
is
is
a bowler. We know that he's a bowler, right?
Yeah, we gotta go Quinn with the
Bowler and cornhole, I think, are his games.
Yes.
So if we go back up to the first one and we talk about paintball, I'm getting like Alex Singleton vibes too.
I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like he would play a good amount of paintball.
My thought is like some of these might wind up being kind of disparaging, and I'd kind of like to save Alex for that. But
Okay.
also, when they had like their little passing camp, whatever they called it, when Jarrett Stidham brought them all out, I
Yep.
think it was in Florida.
Yeah.
They played paintball out there.
Oh.
So I'm not sure who put that together, but the quarterbacks and
Had to be
receivers.
Stiddy. He put the whole weekend together, right?
It was.
Yeah. So
But
obviously.
let's throw him in there.
All right, Stiddy.
At the very least, we know he's played paintball before. There's a start. All right. What do we have for number 3 here, Kale? Ooh, an escape room. They actually have 2 different escape rooms.
They didn't have that
No?
when I was there.
I feel like escape rooms are kind of a new thing.
newer, like last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like axe throwing.
Yeah. Axe
Yeah.
throwing is definitely new. I would have did that if I was there.
Oh,
I like
really?
escape rooms.
From your team. I think those are like 4-person teams. You have to like work
Uh-huh.
together. Who would you have brought
who
with?
am I choosing?
From when you were playing. I guess pretend it's the
let's do-
Broncos because
let's
we
do-
don't know the Saints. Or from the current team.
Let's do the current team.
Okay.
I'll do the current team. So I would have been myself. I feel like Bo would have been a great choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Figuring out different clues within the escape room.
He would be very intense.
He would be
He
locked
would not
in.
be distracted. He wouldn't be like laughing or anything. He'd be like, "We're doing this."
Yep, for sure. Let me bring my guy, Stranad. He has like so
Oh,
much information
he
about
does.
football and other trivia knowledge, I can only imagine what he would know about clues and understanding games
Ancient
and
Egypt.
escape. Yeah, in ancient Egypt.
Apparently, in this, you're trapped with a desecrated tomb. You have to restore its sanctity and solve the ancient puzzles left behind by the pharaoh to earn your freedom.
I think that's
He
awesome.
would know Egypt.
Yeah. And then last, let me bring Vance. He will put together a great game plan. We will start off with the game plan, put together the game plan, then we will execute as a unit.
He'd be the leader then. Everybody would listen to what Vance has to say.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'll be the head coach, but he'd be the coordinator.
Oh, okay.
And so he had to coordinate.
It is your team.
You know what I'm saying?
It is your team. There we go. Well, that works. What's number 4 here, Kale? Pickleball.
Oh, pickleball.
A classic.
Um,
This is another one where I just think Quinn because of all the hand-eye stuff that he does.
but who's the most athletic? Who's more athletic? Cortland, I feel like Cortland might play some pickleball. You know what I'm saying?
His arms are so long, he could reach everywhere. I think that's a good one. I think like agility's a big thing. Tyler Badie's a little small, or Tyler's a little small.
I was thinking one of the linebackers because you got to go back and forth.
That
so
is
much.
true.
Yeah.
Side to side.
There is a lot of that. That's a good one. Singleton might be a decent pick there. Pat, again, with those long arms.
Mm-hmm.
Court's just more competitive, though. Not that Pat's not competitive, but in like a silly little game like this, I think I might take Court there.
Yep. All right. That's good with me.
Yeah.
Let's rock with it.
Let's rock with it. All right. Next we've got falconry. So that's where obviously the bird comes in and you let the bird fly away. It says on the website that falconry has been enjoyed for more than 4,000 years. You learn the basics of the ancient sport. Birds already trained. You got falcons, hawks, eagles, owls. Yeah, I mean that's all the information we've really got.
I've never even thought to try falconry. I didn't even know like it's considered a sport.
Yeah.
It's not an Olympic sport or anything, right?
No,
Okay.
because then you have to give the medal to the bird, right? That's who's doing
But
all
the
the
trainer,
impressive
it's
stuff.
just like a show dog, right?
I guess
Or the
that's true.
dogs that do the little
That's true.
obstacle courses.
That's
you
true.
know?
Because you don't put the medal on the dog.
Probably not.
It'd be kind of fun though.
I've never seen. You know who would probably do this? GB. GB would definitely go out there.
He'd be
and
down
do
for the
some
falconry for sure.
So
He would love
they
that.
have falcons with other birds?
So falcons, eagles, hawks, and owls.
Oh, all dope. But how do you do all owls in the day? How would you do that? You have to wait till nighttime?
Well, that's a good. I think so. Let's see. Owls, their eyes are really good, so that's why they see well at night.
But they're
I think
nocturnal, right?
I think they typically are, but I think they can be awake during the day.
I mean, I'm sure these ones are raised in captivity, so you can
That
kind of
is probably
probably
true.
set their schedule.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We're just manipulating nature left and right.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not saying
you're not
it's
supposed to be
right,
flying
but-
birds. That's
Oh my god.
yeah. 4,000 years though. That's a long time for people to have been messing with birds like this. What's our next one here, Kale? A carriage ride. You sign up, you spend, you take a little lap in the carriage. Again, this is what all of the people 100 years ago would be after. This is big time. You
Oh,
get to
yeah.
take a step back into our storied past as you explore the grounds the way the travelers did more than a century ago from the seat of a horse-drawn carriage. When the weather is warm, watch the lush landscape of the Greenbriar bloom all around you under sunny skies. Experience the magic of a 50-minute carriage ride departing from the mountain adventures.
Very nice. This is like did you guys play the Oregon Trail?
Yes.
Growing up in middle school. That was like the funnest game, and you had to try
Yep.
to keep everybody alive.
Yep.
Somebody would get like sick with like polio or something. You had to get
You have died of dysentery.
you know, yes,
You have to
yes,
decide
yes.
like whether you're gonna wait for somebody to take you across the water, if you power through.
Yep. Yeah. I've died more than a handful of times
yeah.
in the Oregon Trail. But man, this is a tough one. I don't know who's just getting on a horse and buggy
Yeah.
or horse and carriage by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, who's the quietest person on the team? Who's the most guys that's like kind of off to themselves? Good guys, but just
Javonte can be a little quiet.
yeah.
Javonte can be quiet.
He could find some peace on a ride like that, right?
He could really find some peace. That's gotta be the move. I just want to make sure because all those defensive linemen. DJ Jones is a little quieter. He's not the quietest.
No,
he's quiet around me.
Oh, maybe. No, I think he definitely talks.
Sternad could also enjoy it. I feel like Javonte is probably a good one. Okay, what's our last activity here, Kale? Oh, a tour of the bunker. You get to go see the Cold War stuff.
So now I guess this would never be used again as a
no. So
bunker
basically,
site?
what happened is like I think it was the Washington Post found out about the bunker and then like wrote about it in 1993.
So now we can't use it because they're not just
because it's no longer a secret bunker because people found out.
So do you just if you're at war with America, do you just attack that spot first just in case they still use it? Like, is that one of your first?
See, I would have thought I wouldn't attack it because they're not using it anymore. But that might be exactly what they want you to think. Or do you need
to make sure they're not using it?
You gotta.
There is a bunker there.
You gotta. You go for the Greenbriar first if you attack America.
No, we don't want to give anybody any, saying?
No.
Thoughts or ammunition. I'm just,
no.
We're just talking.
We said so many nice things about the Greenbriar. There's one bad one.
Who would like to see some bunkers?
Who would like to see some bunkers?
Who's like a Cold War history nerd on the team?
There aren't many.
No, I don't think there's. I think it would have to be one of the coaches.
Sean?
It would have to be a coach. Yeah, like an old coach that would know what
Westhoff.
you know. What I'm saying Mike Westhoff.
He might
for
only
sure.
care about football though.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Probably find some metaphor down there too.
Yes, leave a book down there just in case anybody gets
exactly.
trapped in there. They have some
not the
reading
whole thing,
material.
just a few pages, so you buy the whole thing.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, that wraps it up. We didn't include some afternoon tea. There's some like glass blowing. You like make vases or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those. You guys can check out the website, but I like the list we put together. We're getting back into real football talk here in a second, talking about the biggest winners and losers for the Broncos for the first 3 weeks. But first, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Sports are back. Last night, the Avs had a preseason game, and for a second, I was thinking I might go. I actually have season tickets, and I sold my tickets because, it's Monday Night Football. There's two of them. But then I went back and looked, and there were, I think it was $2 to get in. So that's a pretty good deal. I actually really recommend preseason hockey and basketball. If you don't go to a bunch of games, it's super cheap to get really good tickets. Like you can be like a couple rows off the ice for like $50 or like just behind courtside for like $50. So something to check out because that's all starting back up. Game Time is always your best bet for tickets, whether it's Broncos or anything else that's going on in town. When I was looking, I saw Metallica is coming next summer. You can already buy tickets on Game Time if you're a Metallica fan. If you decide to use Game Time, you can use the code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code DNVR. There's so many perks. You get to see the view from the seat. There's all-in pricing. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Get to take the guesswork out. And again, use the code DNVR. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game Time.
Nice.
Shout out to Z-Biotics. They have a new game-changing product that I use before a night out with drinks. It's called a pre-alcohol. Right now, if you head to the website, you get 15% off when you enter code DNVR Broncos. And the Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Okay, this is how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. This byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So you can head to their website, zbiotics.com/DNVR Broncos to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code DNVR Broncos at checkout.
Nice. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. All right, we got to do stock up and stock down. So the way this works is you can choose any of the players on the Broncos roster, and we're comparing their stock right now to their stock right before the season started. So through the first 3 weeks, what has changed? Do you want to start with the stock up, the good news, or the stock down, the bad news?
It's weird because everybody's stock has come up in the last week.
That's the nice thing.
For the most part.
That's the nice thing. It's just this would have been a really dark conversation a week ago.
Yeah, for sure.
This is good timing. Let's start with the stock down, though.
Okay, let's do it.
That way we can end on a positive note.
Sounds good.
I'll throw Quinn Meinerz out there. It's not that he's been playing horrible football, but you see the trajectory through the first 3 years of his career, and last year he's playing really, really, really well.
Yeah.
You hope to see him come back and play the best football of his career to this point. And, the hype just builds when you sign a contract like that. And he had a tough first game.
Yeah.
Had some tough moments since then. And I wouldn't say that he's doomed or there's a lot of trouble, but when I think stock down, he is the first name that comes to mind over the past month or so.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't played to the expectation that we have for him this season. Mm-hmm. He was paid as a top 3 guard.
I think it depends on top 6 for sure.
Okay. And I don't think he's played at that level just yet. So I think if you want to talk about expectations for the season, he is his stock has gone down from then. But this is somebody who just had a good game. So just like the stock market, there's constant fluctuation. I think he was down pretty heavy the first 2 games, but I think he's had a little bit of a bounce back, a resurgence in this last game. For me, somebody who I feel like stock is pretty down. It's tough. I would say Luke Wattenberg. I wouldn't say that he had really high stock evaluation before the season started. But I just think in the first 2 games, specifically, he didn't play his best football. And I think you see the lack of experience that he has so far. So right now, I think his stock was trending down. And just like Quinn, I think it got a bump up in the last game. I didn't see any really big issues. I thought he held up pretty good in the run in the past game. So yeah, hopefully he can just, skyrocket from here.
Yep, I agree. I don't think Luke has been much worse than... I think he's probably been what you should have expected. Like, he's been fine. He's made a couple of mistakes, but I think that there's also just some potential, some hype that comes from the unknown, where you just haven't seen him play, and he could show up and just be incredible. And because there was just the chance that he was a real break, that's where the stock down is from. But when you look through the handful of snaps he'd gotten before this season, it's not like he was playing great football. That he was I think a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick a couple years ago. He hasn't played great football. It's the first couple starts of his career. Although with Quinn, you're just confident that he's going to play really well at some point this season, and you're going to be just fine there. With Luke, maybe you don't know for sure that he's going to be a solid option at any point. And I guess that part's a little bit scary. Yeah,
it's still up in the air. And I think until this last game, I don't know if I feel like he really executed as a starter. So I feel like that's why his stock is down. Because before you're a backup, you kind of, your stock's backup stock.
Yeah.
I'm going to say penny stock versus like blue chip stock.
Sure. Yeah.
And then now becoming a starter, now you're in the game. Now you're trading on the Dow Jones. Like, you got to make some things shake.
Yeah, exactly. I'll throw Javonte out there. He, I get it. This is very much based on just expectations for him.
Yeah.
Because he is another year removed from the injury. Wanted to see rookie Javonte. And we haven't seen rookie Javonte. He also hasn't gotten much help from the offensive line. I think that's a big piece of this. But sometimes you watch other games. You think last night, Brian Robinson for the Commanders. Whenever he runs the ball, it just feels like he's hitting the hole quickly. Like, he's not making the offensive line sustain blocks longer than they have to. He's getting out of those ankle tackles because he's getting through there so fast in the backfield. And again, Javonte hasn't had much help, but it'd be nice to see him just a couple more times just get through the hole and get away. And we just haven't seen that from him yet.
Yeah, not yet. I just still think he's getting hit way too early and way too often, to really be successful. So, he's not what we expected right now. I think he has the ability to play better. Maybe there's a little bit of pressure on him right now with, the way Tyler Badie is playing. And, maybe I think that'll bring the best out of Javonte. My next guy, it's got to be Greg Dulcich. I think that he's a great guy, but unfortunately, I think he's been through a lot in his career, had a lot of injuries, and it was always that guy that's like, once we get him healthy, he's going to be this phenomenal player and this great tight end, something that we haven't had at the Broncos for many years, and he's going to be our guy. He's going to be able to run routes, make plays, create separation, and I just don't think we've seen that just yet. Maybe it's a time thing, and that over time he gets better and he starts to find his groove midway through the season. But for right now, I think we all expected him to be a step ahead because he had been out for so long before this season.
Yep, I agree. And I think there's just so much going on with Greg. I mean, obviously there's the injuries that have kept him off the field, but then there's the fact that he still really struggles as a blocker. And it's really easy in the offseason for people to say, well, then just don't ask him to block. Like, just only ask him to run routes. But then you get to this point in the season and, all last week, I guess I wasn't on last week. In my head, at the very least, I was complaining that they were just so predictable. Again, like, if they're lining up under center, you just know that they're going to run the football. Some personnel packages were telling you that they're going to run or throw the football. When in the offseason, it's easy to say, just only put Greg in when you're throwing. Like, that's a big tell. And if you're willing to do that, that kind of means you're only playing him on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 when they know you're passing anyway. And so you just have this underlying flaw that's really tough to manage. It's tough to turn him into a high-volume tight end when, again, you look back and there were runs that ended because of him. I'm thinking one against the Steelers where it's like a split zone run. He cuts across, and Alex Highsmith just blows him up and makes the tackle. And I don't know how exactly you get past that without just giving him a limited role, but he also hasn't done all that much when he has been running those routes anyway. So some of it's just rust, and some of it will get better. But the ceiling for Greg, I'm a little concerned that it just can't be much more than a role player unless something drastically changes as a blocker.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that asking him to do certain things is unfair to him as well.
Yep.
Like, yes, he cannot block, an outside linebacker. Not many people can. Yep. Not many tackles can. But I think you have to find matches for him, like on the outer edges, like corners, safeties. Like, he's a lead blocker on bubble screens. Like, there's other ways to run the ball. Like, you do zone read runs when he's in the game and he's darting to the flat as the RPO option. Like, I think there's definitely ways to get around, him not being this prolific blocker. There's not many tight ends in the game that are. I mean, you got Kittle, Laporta at times.
Nate Atkins.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really not what they do anymore, I feel like, in the NFL.
Yeah. I'm curious because I've seen the new tight end, Brock Bowers for the Raiders. He's putting up some pretty crazy numbers, but I haven't seen if he can block because he really does look small. It's something Dre talked a lot about leading up to the draft, is that he wasn't sure that Brock Bowers is going to be this guy just because he is a little bit smaller. That's really showing up. Like, he does, when you look at it, like, he doesn't look like a tight end. He still has 18 catches and almost 200 yards in 2 games as a rookie tight end. Like, that's impressive.
Pretty dang good, yeah.
But there's a chance that he really isn't much of a blocker either. I want to go back and watch some of that. We'll do that Raiders week. Maybe we can talk about it a little more. Crazy thing, we haven't named anybody from the defense yet.
Is stock down?
Yeah.
Whose stock is down?
I've got one. I think Cody Barton. And it's not necessarily because he played poorly. It's not really his fault at all. It's just that he kind of got a bunch of his opportunities stolen when they signed Christian Welch, which again isn't really his fault, and maybe he did something that made them think that another guy could do a better job. But I thought that there was a good chance that he was going to be, a starting linebacker who plays a lot of football for him. We just haven't seen that. But that's all I really have for stock down in defense.
Yeah, and I feel like it's hard for me to give him a stock down because I think you have to do something for your stock to move.
That's fair.
And if he's came in and played well, there hasn't been any glaring, no missed tackle. Like, he hasn't done anything. So I can't say that his stock is down just because the defensive coordinator chooses to run a different package.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, I don't even know if that's a stock down because what has he done that
It's fair.
was worse than what we expected from him,
It's true. I can't argue with that. It's like if Nike's stock goes way up, they have like some cool new shoe or something, then like maybe Under Armour's stock just dips a little bit because you're like, well, because Nike improved.
Yeah, and there's nothing
and Nike is Christian Welch. And Cody's like your Under Armour. It's a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't even know. I just feel like him and Christian Welch kind of even right now. I don't feel like Christian Welch has like been balling.
I agree.
But I feel like they've both been like steady. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Both been steady players, and I don't really see one getting like a lot more reps than the other one. I mean, I think they're both getting like 15 reps a game and making the most of it and doing their job.
Yeah, I agree. Any final stock downs before we move on? I'll throw Marvin Mims in there. I think you just would like to see a little bit more out of him as a receiver. Again, like I think we on this show didn't have super high expectations for him this season. Just having seen what we saw in training camp, that he really wasn't, one of the core pieces on offense.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, are you basing your stock before training camp or right before the season? Because before the season, we knew he wasn't going to be a big part of the offense. But before training camp,
wide receiver
the thought
2
was that he was going to be, the next guy.
Totally. I think even from the start of the season, it's slightly stocked out, just because there was the unknown, where it's like we don't expect him to do massive things for this offense, but there is the chance that he does show up and he does break out and he does get a bunch of touches, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say he's massively stocked down. His stock did go down during training camp, though.
Yeah, and then he had his best return last week. Yeah, I think he's a good returner, and I think they'll find him deep a couple times over the course of the season. I mean, he was open on the one that they threw, but they didn't get completed. So, I think that ability to get open and run past defenders is still there.
It kind of feels to me like there's really only one spot, though, for him and Troy Franklin in terms of like as an offensive piece, not roster spot, but it kind of hopefully by midseason you get one of those guys going, and that's your speed threat. And we've seen him run some packages with both of them on the field, which I think is fun. Like it adds a bunch of speed to the offense. It's a little bit concerning because neither one of them has either of them caught a pass this year. I think Troy Franklin,
he caught his first pass last game. Yep.
But I mean, it does feel like by midseason, one of those guys is kind of your fourth receiver.
Yeah.
And the other guy is probably, special teams, or in Troy Franklin's case, just waiting for next year.
Very interesting. I think only the season will tell. Only the season will tell.
True. All right. Before we get into the more fun conversation, which is the stock up, gotta give a shout out to Bet365. I mentioned I had a pretty good betting week that ended with that parlay on Sunday, but then last night I took the Bills spread -4.
Wow.
That was easy. I took the Commanders money line. It's like 3-1 odds. That turned out to be easy. It was a little stressful there at the end, but I'm feeling pretty good. I also took some of those winnings. I think the Commanders right now are plus 750 to win the NFC East. I think they might have a 1-game lead right now. And so the Eagles don't look that good. The Cowboys don't look that good. The Giants stuck. So I'm all in on the Commanders at this point. And if you guys want to join me, you can head over to Bet365. Use the code DNVR365. And you can take advantage of some awesome promotions. You can either deposit $10 and get a bet and get offer where you place a bet of $5 or more, you get $200 in bonus bets. Or you can take a first bet safety net offer where you place a bet up to $1,000. And if that bet loses, then you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to Premier Members Credit Union. We know that a lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and if you're one of them, you gotta check out Premier Members Credit Union. They are a financial institution based right here in Colorado. With PMCU, you get local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like the reverse tier money market. This is an organization that serves the community and the Colorado community in particular. It's the account you need to get ahead and stay ahead in this economy. This is an organization that serves the community. Oh, they just repeated that. Whatever your goals, they can help. PMCU is all about creating a better banking experience for their community. So why not see what they can do for you? Check out becomepremier.com to learn more.
All right. Again, this is the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. And now we get to do the more fun part, which is whose stock is up. And some of these are tough. So let's just start by talking about Bo Nix.
Okay, let's do it.
Because Bo just played his best game.
Yep.
2 games before that were not good.
Okay.
And again, we're comparing how we see Bo Nix right now versus how we saw him, the day before the season started. And I think it's probably a slight stock down, or maybe just even. It's really tough to me.
No, we got to be real. We got to be honest. I think you have 1 good game, 2 bad games.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think your stock is probably down. He looked a lot better last game, but the first 2 games, 2 interceptions apiece. Mm-hmm. Very stagnant as an offense.
Yep.
So I think from what we saw in the preseason, what we knew him to be in college, which is somebody who didn't turn the ball over, to have 4 turnovers your first 2 weeks and only have 5 in college, we're thinking you're going to hold on to the ball a little bit better. So ultimately, I say his stock is down from that expectation that we had. But the good thing about it is, he's a rookie. So compared to all the other rookies in the NFL, he's doing really good, So I think it's something that will continue to go up over time. And the good thing about it also is that 2 bad games, and also he had a fantastic game, so his stock has bounced back a lot. That's who we expected, Bo Nix to be. He took care of the football, was able to find guys downfield, make plays with his legs, extend plays. So, it dropped in the beginning. I think it's rising now.
If he plays on Sunday like he did last Sunday, is that enough for him to be back to where he started? Or how many more games like he just showed us does he need to have before he's back to neutral at least?
Oh yeah, I think 1 more good game, he's back to neutral.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable to say because like we said, it was his first 2 games in the NFL. Sean talked about things that they could do better, whether it's personnel, play calls. There's a lot that he's dealing with. So I think that 2 bad games, 2 good games, you're even. Just like when they win on Sunday, they'll be 2-2, back to 500. Everything you need or want for the season is in front of you. It's like a clean slate.
Yep, I totally agree. Who has the biggest increase to their stock since week 1? Before week 1, I should say.
Since before week 1. I got to give it to somebody. Oh, dang.
Somebody or some Badie?
Nah. Badie's increased a lot.
Yep.
I'm going to name a couple people. I'm just going to name some people.
Yep.
Badie has increased a lot. I think he's been playing really well, and I don't think that was expected of him. I know that the Broncos organization felt really highly about him even last year before he got hurt. So maybe this was 2 years in the making. He was just waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Zach Allen, he had high expectations to come in, but I think he's playing at a really high level, so his stock has even gone up. And you cannot, if you watch the Broncos film, you cannot miss him. He's beating one-on-one blocks. He's making plays. I think he's second in pressures and hurries in the NFL. So his stock is definitely up. Brandon Jones. Haven't said much about him the first 2 games, and sometimes when you don't get talked about, that's a good thing because you're not messing up, you're not making bad plays, you're not making bad reads, but this game, I think he played really well. And one of the things we all wondered losing Justin is like, that's how we got turnovers.
Yep.
That was the guy who led the NFL in picks from the time he was drafted. That's a huge piece to lose when you're talking about a defense that needs to create turnovers to help our offense. So I think Brandon Jones stepped in well and made some plays last week, got some turnovers. So that was something I see as definitely a stock up for him.
Yeah. I think those are probably the biggest. I think Brandon Jones is probably the toughest one to... His stock is obviously way up, but it's just tough to compare because he had the one really, really, really great game. Mm-hmm. And then also the expectations for him were strange because he was the number 3 safety last year. Uh-huh. He looked really versatile, and we've seen that so far. And I think maybe that's my big takeaway from the fact that they chose him out of all the safeties. You see some of these defenses. We talked about a lot before the Seahawks game because Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator previously with the Ravens, that defense was all about versatility. Mm-hmm. It's guys who can cover receivers or line up, play in the box, do all sorts of different things. Brandon Jones, to me, is one of those guys. Like, you can blitz him. You can play him, I think, in man against a lot of people. I think you saw it last year in the playoffs against Travis Kelce. That was a big piece of his job.
Yep.
He can play deep. Like, he can just do so many different things. The question was, can he do all those things at an elite level, at a pretty good level? Can he just get by at all of them? And there's value in that, too. And after this week, you start wondering if, like, why couldn't he be a Pro Bowl safety? You know, you already have 2 turnovers. You get 5 turnovers, 6 turnovers this season, you're probably a Pro Bowl safety as long as nothing goes wrong. And they got him on such a cheap deal. His stock might be the highest. I think that might be mostly because people weren't talking about him too much before the season started.
Yeah, he felt like a replacement piece that wasn't good enough as the guy we left or lost. Couple more guys I forgot to mention, but I can't forget any longer. Riley Moss. I mean, seeing him in training camp, I thought he was going to be a dog, and I think he's came out and proven it. I think he's had really hard matchups the first 2 weeks, and I think he's played really well. And then third week, I think it just all came together.
Yep.
Forced the fumble that Brandon Jones picked up. Great plays on third down to get the defense off the ball. Ultimately, just had a really, really good game. Jonathan Cooper, 2 sacks to start the season and another one yesterday. I mean, I think he's playing at a high level, and I think that his pass rushing ability was something that was kind of slept on, before the season. You know, we kind of always talked about Baron Browning or Nick Bonito, and Jonathan Cooper is here like, I can rush the passer too. So that's important to see.
And this is like the 4th year of that.
Yeah.
Where you go into the season saying, like at the very beginning, it's like, oh, it's Bradley Chubb, or after that, Bradley Chubb and Frank Clark. Like they've had so many different combinations, and Barron's been there a while. Nick Bonito's been there a while. And it always seems like Jonathan Cooper kind of just gets pushed to the side a little bit by the fan base. It's like, yeah, he's a good player. Mm-hmm. He's like number 3. He's versatile. You want him out there 3rd and 2. Like, he's the guy who should be out there. He sets the edge well. But through all that time, he has been a really, really good player.
Solid.
And just about every one of those seasons, he's been their best outside linebacker at the end of the year, too. And so now he shows up with 2 sacks week 1, and all of a sudden you're thinking, like, at this point in the NFL, your salary as an outside linebacker when you sign a new contract is like $1.5 million per sack, maybe. Mm-hmm. If he winds up with a 10-sack season, he could be looking at $15 million a year at the end of the season. And at this point, it looks like it should happen.
Yeah, I think the NFL as a whole doesn't value the steady players, the players who just come to work, they do their job, and they just make plays. But it's not always like the flashiest work. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times in the NFL, you can have 10 sacks, but you gave up a lot of missed assignments. Mm-hmm. You're offsides a majority of the time, and they're like, oh, he's the greatest pass rusher. Mm-hmm. But really, I mean, if you talk about his overall work for the team, I think he did more to hurt the team than help the team, like some of these players that we hype up. But I think Jonathan Cooper's just steady, comes to work every day. He works hard. He's a leader. And, he doesn't get talked about enough because he is playing really good football.
Yep. He's playing great football. I'll throw Lil Jordan Humphrey out there, too.
Yeah.
I think for him in particular, he's gotten more opportunities with Devon Bailey out the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I think they kind of play the same role in this offense, although there's some versatility there for sure. But he's taken advantage, and he looks like an NFL receiver. I think people forget that he's so young because he He might have been 20 when he was drafted. He might have just turned 21, but I think this might be his 5th or 6th year in the NFL. He's only 25 years old, and he just keeps getting better. And it's not the flashiest stuff. He had the one big play against the Chargers last year where he breaks a tackle and goes and scores a touchdown, but he's just so reliable underneath, and he's catching a bunch of passes. He's getting a little bit of run after the catch, and I think that he looks like he belongs out there on the field throughout the course of the season, regardless of what happens with Devon Bailey.
Yeah, at this point, he kind of feels like Bo's safety net to some extent. Like, if anything breaks down, find little Jordan, he'll catch the ball.
Yep.
Hopefully, make a play or miss and get a couple extra yards. So I think he's been playing really well as a whole. And I think I got to give credit to another wide receiver, Josh Reynolds. I think when he came in here, he was behind Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. So we're like, yo, you'll be the third guy. You may get a little bit of catches. And I think right now, he's been one of Bo's favorite targets as well. And I think he leads the team in receiving yards.
I think he does, yes.
So he's been playing really at a high level as well.
On pace for 986. I think
that's more than what
totally
we projected for him. And that might be the most of his career if he gets to 96.
I think his most was like 620.
Yeah.
So it's the most by a lot. He's another one who hasn't been flashy, but 58 yards per game. You probably expected more like 40. And those little differences can be big. Alex Palshevsky, of course. He's also been... we didn't expect him to play, and he played well.
It's 1 for 1, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Clear stock up there. I'm trying to think. You could really pick any of the defensive linemen.
Yeah.
They've been so good. Honestly, what do you think of, like, Nick Bonito, for example?
I think Nick has played well. I think Nick has applied pressure.
He has.
There's been a couple times that he almost got home where he's doing really good. Putting pressure on the quarterback, causing errant throws.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think Nick has been good. I don't think he's been a liability in the run game.
I agree.
To any extent. I know his role has been increased with Baron Browning out, but I think he's doing a good job holding his own. And getting after it.
Yeah, I think he's just stock even. 1 sack in 3 games. You probably want more. Everything else he's done is probably a little bit better than you expected. You also, like you said, like there have been pressures there where he didn't get the sack, but it was still, it was close. So I agree. I think that's the bulk of all these. Off the top of my head, unless you want to go like Will Lutz stock up because he still hasn't missed, but
no, he's
that's about
even.
It.
That's what he's supposed to do.
Stock even, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Do we have any super chats, Kale? Nope. Wow. Any good questions? Because we have 2 minutes.
Really?
Wow, nice job today, chat. Toyota chat. Well, that's going to do it for today. We'll have Zach on for a couple minutes tomorrow from West Virginia. Really hoping... No, we'll get him before practice, so we won't get the answer to the Tyler Badie question. But we'll get that from him in the next couple days. Actually don't know what most of the plans for tomorrow, but it should be fun. Me and Todd. Not Kale. It'll be you here again tomorrow, and we will... it is you tomorrow?
It is me tomorrow.
Wow, there's a lot
Why'd
going
you
on.
say that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I just
bounce.
assumed like we're Jaya's taking 2 days off.
Dang.
Nobody really tells me things.
Kale got us, man.
All right, appreciate all you guys for listening. Make sure you give us a like and all that on the way out, and subscribe on the podcast, subscribe to YouTube, all that stuff, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.